And we are live. My name is Nicholas Earle, and welcome back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. And today we're going to be breaking down some UFC Vegas 32, looking at the card for Dillashaw and Sandhagen. Should be a fun card. A couple good spots I like on this card. I only have 5 bets currently on this card, so looking to potentially talk me into a couple extras for this as well. So it should be a fun one. So let's get started right into this. I'm going to throw on a ticker of just my picks. Nope, not that fight. There we go. All right, we're going to be starting it off here with a bout between two women here. We have Diana Belbita kicking it off versus Hannah Goldie. Diana Belbita is 13-6, 0-2, or my bad. Diana Belbita and Hannah Goldie. This is a pick 'em minus 110 on each side. Over under of 2.5 rounds. The over juiced to minus 280. The under juiced to plus 220. The book saying this is going to decision. I honestly agree with this one. Diana Belbita is 13-6, 0-2 in the UFC. Hannah Goldie 5-1, 0-1 in the UFC. Belbita comes into this one with 77% of her finishes are wins are by finish, 6 knockouts, 4 submissions, 3 decisions. 67% of her losses are by finish. She's been submitted 4 times and has gone to decision twice in losses. And then 1 of 2 of her fights have gone to the scorecards in the UFC. Hannah Goldie on the other side, 5-1. She holds only a 20% finish rate, 1 knockout and 4 submissions, so not really much of a finishing threat. Her only losses by decision. Her only UFC fight has gone to decision. I think that the over is probably a play in this one if it wasn't minus 280. You can look to parlay the over or the fight goes to decision. The fight goes to decision, you probably can get knock off like 20 cents. It's probably like a 260 though. Minus 260 for a fight to go to decision. Minus 280 for the over. I feel like that's a nice little parlay piece if you want to kick it off with someone like that. I lean with Belbita in this fight here. Belbita by decision. You can get Belbita minus 110 right now. Belbita by decision, I believe, is a plus 175. So if you're looking for a little bit of plus money on this one, Belbita by decision plus 175. Yep. And then there's no by any type of those type of props out yet. But I like Belbita by decision in this matchup. I feel like that's probably the most likely outcome to this fight. I think Belbita, she opened up as a big dog, and now she's a pick'em. So I'm probably going to stay off this fight. Probably just going to have the over 2.5 and a couple parlays. But overall, not getting involved in this first fight. So we'll move on to the second one here, where we're looking at Elsa Reed taking on Sahara Eubanks. Elsa Reed, this is her UFC debut. You can get Sahara Eubanks here at minus 355 at the plus 290 the opposite way with Elsa Reed. I believe this fight is at the 125 division. Usually Sahara Eubanks fights at the 135 division. Looking at the over-under is 2.5, with the over being a minus 145 and under being a plus 115. And looking at this fight, I kind of agree with those odds. Sahara Eubanks 6-6. She's 4-4 in the UFC. Very mediocre, but she's fought in some of the best competition. She has a 44% finish rate in her career. She has 3 knockouts, 1 submission, and 5 decisions on her record. All 6 of her losses have happened by decision, so she's yet to be finished. All 8 of her fights have gone to decision in the UFC. On the other side, Elsa Reed, 4-0 overall in her career. This is her UFC debut. She's won half her fights by knockout, the other half by decision. She had no losses because 4-0. And looking at this fight, this one's kind of one where there's a couple fights on this card where we're gonna have to wait to see what some of these fighters look like at the weigh-ins. And Sahara Eubanks is absolutely one I'm circling. If she comes in, because she usually fights at 135 and has difficulty getting down to that 135 division. Now she's fighting at 125. So I have a feeling you're going to see her potentially come in at 128, 129 pounds when the weight division is a 126 is the max. If you see her miss weight by half a pound, if she comes in at 126.5 and she looks sucked out and just doesn't look like she has any energy. There may be a shot I take a shot on the underdog here, but if she comes in at 128 to 129, I kind of have more interest in Eubanks if she misses weight here, knowing her history with the weight class that she's in. So I'm looking for her to miss weight here at 128, 129 pounds if I want to use Sahara Eubanks as a parlay piece at minus 355. That's the only way you can use her at this moment. And potentially I can see her getting a finish over Reed here, someone who's new to the UFC. You can get fight goes to the distance at minus 140. Sahara Eubanks inside the distance. If you want some plus money on this fight, plus 160. But for me, I'm waiting till the weigh-ins for this one. I feel like that's the only way to really go with this one. I need to see what she looks like on the scales tomorrow. Usually I would have my show after the weigh-ins, but I'm not available tomorrow to do that because I'll be going to a concert tomorrow night. So I that's why I'm doing it today. Tim says first, AM says second. I suck at betting UFC. Hey, I mean, I'm not the greatest either, but I like to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can cash some bets. So far, these first two bets, no action on either of them. Moving on here, Julio Arce takes on Andre Yule. It's a minus 200 for Arce. It's a plus 170 run back for Yule. Over under of 2.5 rounds. The over minus 220. The under is plus 180. So another one of these fights where they're projecting it goes to the scorecards. And once again, I agree with that statement. Julio Arce 16-4. He's 3-2 in the UFC. Holds a 56.25% finish rate with 4 knockouts, 5 submissions, and 7 decisions. In his losses, 3 of his 4 losses have happened by decision. He's been submitted once, and 3 of his 5 UFC fights have gone to this judge's scorecards. He has with 1 of his UFC fights ending by knockout, 1 by submission, and 3 by decision. And on the other side here, Andre Yule, 64% finish rate, 17-7, 4-3 in the UFC, 64.7% finish rate, 7 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 6 decisions. And looking at this one, also 57% of his finishes or his losses have ended by finish. He's been knocked out once, been submitted 3 times, and has gone to the scorecards 3 times in his losses. 5 of his 7 fights have gone to the judges' scorecards as well, with the only other 2 being 1 knockout and 1 submission. I think this goes over. This is another one where I think you can parlay the over with this fight and the over in the Goldie fight and be fine with minus 280, minus 200, or minus 220. Probably something I'll look there because this is not a spot where I'm really looking to find an angle here because Arce is a huge favorite. Lead Arce by decision, which let's see what Arce by decision will look like here. I don't know if we have those odds yet or not. We do not have Arce goes to decision, but we do have fight goes to decision. You can get that at minus 200. I think this does go to the scorecards. Am I telling you to lay minus 200 on that? No, but if you're looking to get action on this one, I would parlay. You can parlay the first 3 fights. If Eubanks looks good with Eubanks, the over and the over with the first and third fight. But I'm going to tweet out all my action at Nicholas_Earle for the card before it starts. So that's where we're looking at for that one. Probably just a lean towards the over. You're all good. I'm not the greatest UFC bettor at all, but I like to do my research and I like to try to give out information to help people try to make some money. Wow, both do minus 200. Oh yeah, the overs on these first couple fights are kind of crazy, but not this next one though. We'll be looking at Jordan Williams versus Mickey Gall in this matchup. It is a minus 170 for Jordan Williams. It's a plus 145 for Mickey Gall. Over under of 2.5 rounds for this one. About a pick 'em for the over under of minus 110, minus 120. And that one, I think, that's a nice little line there for that fight. There's the I had to flip my page here. But looking at this fight here, Mickey Gall, 6-3. He's 5-3 in the UFC. He entered the UFC at a 1-0 record where he fought CM Punk, won that fight. He has an 83.3% finish rate, 5 submissions, and one decision by in his wins. And 2 of his 3 losses have happened by decision. And 5 of his 8 UFC fights have ended by a finish. He's 1 knockout, 4 submissions, 3 decisions. On the other side, Jordan Williams, 9-4, 0-1 in the UFC. This is another guy where I have him circled where I need to see what he looks like on the scale for Friday. I like Jordan Williams in this spot. He is 9-4, 0-1 in the UFC though. 88.8% finish rate. 7 knockouts, 1 submission, and 1 decision. Half his losses are by finished. He's been knocked out twice, and he's gone to the scorecards twice. His only UFC fight went to decision, and this is one where I think he's having to cut weight this time. He's dropping down a weight class, Jordan Williams. And the reason why I really have him circled here is because he's a diabetic, and he doesn't really like cutting weight. So it's going to be interesting to see what he looks like coming into this fight. If he looks good, I'm going to be all over Jordan Williams in this fight. Minus 170, I don't think is a bad price for them. Mickey Gall is not a great fighter. Fight does not go to decision, minus 145. The under 2.5 at minus 130. Actually, under 2.5 is minus 120 now. I think the under is definitely in play for this one. I still don't have a bet on this one. I'll have a bet on the next fight, or not the next fight. The next fight is no. I do have a bet on the next fight. But personally, I'm looking at Jordan Williams in this spot. If he looks good, inside the distance is a nice price as well. Let's get these numbers out for you guys. And I need to see what he looks like on the scale first. Inside the distance, plus 160 for Jordan Williams. I like that price. I think he can knock out Gall. Does not go to decision, minus 145. And by knockout is a plus 210. So that's a nice little plus money as well. I think he's able to knock out Mickey Gall here. Mickey Gall is not someone we can particularly trust. He's a low-level guy. He's kind of fun to watch, though. He does come out. His walkout song is "Hey Mickey," so it's kind of a funny thing there. But yeah, I'm looking at the under in this fight. I'm looking at Jordan Williams by knockout inside the distance. Either of those. If you want to potentially, if you like the Mickey Gall side, and if you want to gamble in some really nice plus money, Mickey Gall by submission to plus 475. I think if Mickey Gall wins this fight, it is by submission. So I see paths to finishes for both these fighters. That's why I like the under in this one. I see this fight being finished one way or another, whether it's a Jordan Williams knockout or if it's a Mickey Gall submission. Moving on to the next one here, where we have Nasruddin Imavov taking on Ian Heinisch for this one. Minus 160 for minus 170 now for Ian Heinisch, and a plus 145 for Imavov. Over under of 2.5 rounds for this one. Over being minus 220. It's a plus 180 for the under in this fight. And this is where we find my first play. Looking at this fight, Ian Heinisch, 14-4. He's 3-3 in the UFC. He has a 50% finish rate, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 7 decision wins. 25% of his losses are by finish. He's only been submitted once in his career. The other 3 losses are by decision. And 5 of his UFC fights have gone to decision. Imavov, on the other side, 9-3, 1-1. He has a 77% finish rate, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 2 decisions. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. So he also has 66% of his losses are by decision. So he's had 2 decision losses with 1 submission loss. And both of his fights have gone to decision as well. I actually have 2 plays on this one, and they're both on the same fighter. It's just 2 different then it was a prop and a straight up money line. I'm going with Ian Heinisch in this one. Ian Heinisch has been fighting against higher quality competition, and those are the ones he struggles up against. And now he's getting a downgrade in opposition with Imavov. I feel like this is a nice spot for Ian Heinisch. Minus 170. I got him at minus 160. I think minus 170 is a fine price as well. I would probably bet him up to around minus 175-ish. So it's about towards the top of where he is right now. And I typed that in wrong. And then it'll be Heinisch by decision is my other play on this one at plus 150. I feel like this definitely goes 3 rounds, and I think that Heinisch wins a unanimous decision here at plus 150. I think that's a nice little spot there, considering that it's a minus 200 if the fight goes to decision. So looking at that. I'm personally appreciating that. Yeah, no problem. Do it for all the people who follow me on Twitter. Next one is going to be a fun one as well. This is going to be the first violence bet of the night. Looking at this one, Brandon Allen takes on Punahele Serrano. Serrano is a minus 110 on each side. The over-under is 1.5 rounds in this one. Over is minus 125. Under is minus 105. And looking at this one, these are 2 potent finishers. These are 2 guys who can get out of there in a hurry. There's a reason why this is lined at 1.5. Soriano is 8-0 in his professional career, 2-0 in the UFC, with an 87.5% finish rate, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, 1 decision win. No losses on his record. Both of his UFC fights have ended in knockout. Brandon Allen, 16-4 at entering this fight, 4-1 in the UFC. 87.5% of his fights have ended by finish as well. 5 knockouts, 9 submissions, and 2 decisions. Half of his losses have been to decision. He's been knocked out once, he's been submitted once, and he's gone to decision twice. And 4 of his fights, 5 UFC fights, have gone to or have finished with 2 of his fights ending by knockout, 2 by submission, and 1 by decision. And I see this one being a fight that definitely gets finished. Fight not to go the distance is minus 225. I feel like even at minus 225, this one is one that I don't think is seeing the judges' scorecards. If you can parlay that piece up on my book, I can't. But I feel like that's a parlay piece, potentially at the minus 225 not to go to decision. I'm leaning on the Soriano side on this one. I feel like he has a potential to clip Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen's going to need to get the takedowns. He's going to need to bring this fight to the mat and try to force a submission. I feel like that's his path to victory against Soriano. But I definitely see a finish in this one. I'm leaning towards the Soriano side. I'm probably going to wait till weigh-ins on this one because I have a feeling if we wait a little bit longer on Soriano here, you can potentially get even money or even plus money on him. So Soriano at plus money is what I'm looking to jump on as soon as he hits even money or even plus 105, plus 110. I'm going to look to jump on Soriano. Right now, I feel like it's not the best price you can get. If you like Brendan Allen, people are going to potentially see the weigh-ins and see that he has a size advantage over Soriano. But I feel like this is a spot where if you like Brendan Allen, bet him now. If you like Soriano like I do, wait a little bit. I feel like the line's going to get a little bit better on that one. Minus 158 on FanDuel, Ian Heinisch. I don't mind that at all. Thinking about it, yeah. I would pull the trigger on that one. That line's going to move. That line's only going to get wider if you like Heinisch there. This one sounds like a good one to watch. Absolutely. These are 2 up-and-comers, and I feel like this is a great fight to watch. I can potentially see an under as well in this one with the first round finish. I'm looking at the Soriano side. If you like Soriano, minus 110 straight up. Soriano inside the distance, plus 155. Soriano by knockout is plus 175. First round knockout, plus 375. I'll probably, if I can get better lines on those, I'm probably going to jump all over that. But right now, I do not have a play on this fight. The next one, I have a play on it, though, and I locked it in, and the line has moved. We have Randy Costa taking on Adriangiannis. This is Reese's versus Dr. Pepper. The whole joke behind this entire fight. Minus 225 for Giannis, plus 190 for Randy Costa. Over under 1.5 rounds for this one. Minus 130 to the over, plus 100 to the under on this one. And this line definitely makes sense. This is if there's ever one word to describe this fight, violence, violence, violence. This is a violence bet for me here. I have the under 1.5. I got it at plus 135. It is even money now, and I'm feeling these guys are going to go and try to take each other's heads off. This is going to be a crazy fight for the couple minutes that it does last. I still don't mind it at plus 100. I feel like this is still a spot where you're going to see that these guys are definitely not going to decision. Fight not to go to decision on this one is probably going to be a massive price. Minus 280 not to go to decision. I feel like that's a parlay piece as well if you guys want to get involved on that one. But I like Costa and Giannis going under the total of 1.5 rounds here, leaning towards Giannis by knockout on this one. Giannis inside the distance is a minus 140, I want to say. Minus 140 inside the distance. If you want Giannis by knockout, it is... They don't have it here. They don't have Giannis by knockout on my book. First round knockout plus 375, though. I feel like that could potentially be worth a quarter unit, half unit sprinkle. But for me here, I'm going under the 1.5 rounds here. I think that this fight definitely ends in the first round. I don't see this getting past maybe 3 minutes in this fight. All right, moving on to the next one here. We have Macy, Barber, and Miranda, Maverick. This is another one where I jumped on it, and the line has drastically moved. It's a minus 156 now on my book for Miranda, Maverick, plus 136 for Macy, Barber. Over under 2.5 rounds for this one. Over is minus 210. Under is plus 170. And this is probably one of my favorite fights of the night here. This is one I locked in a few days ago, and the line has done nothing but move in my favor. I have Miranda Maverick in this fight. I got it at minus 120. It's now a minus 156. I still like Miranda Maverick here. I feel like she's the absolute better fighter in this spot. Macy Barber's been getting many chances, and she's failed the last couple of times. She didn't look great in her last fight against Alexa Grasso. And this is a spot where, looking at the fighters here, Macy Barber, 8-2. She's 3-2 in the UFC. She does have an 87.5% finish rate, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 1 decision. And Miranda Maverick has a nice finish rate as well. 1 knockout, 5 submissions, and 3 decisions. Both these fighters have never been finished, though. Both their losses are by decision. And 3 of the 5 fights for Macy Barber have actually ended by knockout in the UFC. And Miranda Maverick, 1 of 2 of her fights have ended by knockout, the other by decision. Looking at this one here, on my book, Miranda Maverick, minus 156. I'm all over here. And I'm actually looking a little bit here. I understand that these fighters have never been finished before, but if you're looking to take some nice plus money here, Miranda Maverick by submission is a plus 700. I feel like that's worth at least a quarter unit. And I'm actually going to add this as a quarter unit sprinkle as well. Miranda Maverick by submission. It's a plus 700. So this is just a small sprinkle bet. I just placed a quarter unit on that one. Miranda Maverick submission plus 700. I feel like that's a silly price. I feel like this is a spot where she can get a submission here. Maverick by sub plus 700. And I'm going to say that is a quarter unit play. But yeah, this is a spot where absolutely the value is on that spot. Plus 750 on FanDuel, you mentioned there. That is definitely a great price. Minus 144, that's a much better price than I can get on my book. I got her at minus 120, though, a couple of days ago. So I locked her in. I'm locked and loaded. I'm on I'm fearing the Maverick, and I think she's going to win this fight. What's good, Turnsy? How are you doing today? Did someone say what's for dinner? Whatever you're cooking. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next fight here. This one's going to be a fun one here. Derek Minner versus Darren Elkins here. And this is another fight I do have action on. I actually have 3 different plays on this one with some nice plus money on them as well. We're looking at Derek Minner minus 157, Darren Elkins plus 137. You can get the over-under. The under is over under 2.5 rounds. The over is minus 125. The under is minus 105 for this one. We're looking at and looking at looking at the fighters here, I'm like forgetting what I'm supposed to be saying. Darren Elkins is 25-9, 15-8 in the UFC, 52% finish rate, 6 knockouts, 7 submissions, and 12 decisions. He's been around a while, but he hasn't been finished that much. He's only been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted only once, and 5 times he's been gone to decision. I believe his only submission loss is against champion Charles Oliveira. I believe that's his only loss by submission in the UFC. 15 of his 23 fights have gone to decision, 5 knockouts, 3 submissions, 15 decisions. On the other side, Derek Minner, and this is someone who's going to really determine the fight here with the over-under and the side for me here. 26-11, 2-1. He has an 88.5% finish rate in his wins, 1 knockout, 22 submissions, and 3 decision wins. And 91% of his losses are by finish. We're looking at 2 knockouts, 8 submissions, and 1 decision loss. 2 of his 3 fights have finished by decision in the UFC for Darren Elkins on this one. And I'm on Elkins in this one, or for Minner, that's 2 of the 3 fights that ended by submission. I'm on Elkins in this one, and I'm on him in 3 different ways. I got a full unit on Darren Elkins just to win the fight in general. I feel like this is a spot where Elkins is going to just have to survive the first round, and he'll be fine. So Elkins plus 137, I think, is a great spot for him. You could have gotten a much better price earlier in the week. Fortunately, I did not jump on him then. And then a half a unit spot here. Elkins inside the distance is a 3 plus 325. Potentially being able to finish Darren Elkins is a spot here, or finish Derek Minner. And let's see. Plus 450 by Elkins by submission. I think that if he finishes, it could potentially be a submission. And an absolute small sprinkle here, quarter unit for Elkins round 3 at 11-1. This is a quarter unit sprinkle, and this is a spot where I can see this fight going 2 rounds here. And Derek Minner is going to win the first round, I believe. Because he's someone who comes out and blitzes every single fight and looks for that first round submission. So if Derek Minner is going to win this fight, it's going to be by first round submission. And that's a plus 750. I think there's absolute value on Derek Minner first round submission in this one. Looking at this, because I feel like if Derek Minner is going to win, it's a first round submission. I also lean towards the under in this one, 2.5. I feel like that's absolute recency bias to Minner going to decision in his last fight. So I like potentially this fight actually going maybe 2 rounds with Elkins winning the second round and then being able to finish off Minner when he gets tired at the end, because he's someone he'll gas out. So I can see a 3rd round finish here potentially for Darren Elkins. Inside the distance is something I'm looking at as well. I think once Derek Minner runs out of gas, he's going to be someone who is going to be tired and is going to be finished rather easily. As you can see, he's been submitted 8 times and knocked out twice in the UFC. He doesn't go far into fights. So when only 4 of his career fights have gone to decision out of 37, that says really what he is here. So fight not to go to decision here is a minus 120. I feel like the fight definitely does not go to decision. I think that's a little bit too much recency bias from his last fight. So I'm on Elkins here straight up. Inside the distance at plus 325, it's a half unit sprinkle. And then third round prop at 11-1. Elkins, I think, is able to get a third round finish potentially here and cash a pretty nice payday for this one. All right. It was a big breakdown because I have a lot of action for that one. So that's a fight I really like. Hello, CSN. How are you doing? All right. Moving on here to the next fight. Had to get some water so I can keep talking there. It's been 30 minutes of nonstop talking for me here. Going on here, we have Raulian Paiva taking on Kyler Phillips in this matchup. It's a minus 265 for Phillips. It's a plus 225 the other way for Paiva. Over under 2.5 rounds for this one. And this one is priced correctly. Looking at this fight, Kyler Phillips, 9-1. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He has a 66% finish rate. He's knocked out five people, submitted 1, and 3 decision wins. His only loss is by decision. Two of the 3 fights he's been in the UFC have gone to decision. On the other side, Paiva, 20-3. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Only a 35% finish rate, though. 3 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 13 decisions. 66% finishes by finish. He's been knocked out once. He's been submitted once, and he's gone to decision once. He has the trifecta there. And 2 out of the 4 fights he's been in the UFC have ended by knockout. The other 2 by decision. And for me in this one, I'm kind of staying away from this one. Kyler Phillips will probably be a parlay piece for me. Minus 265 is probably someone I'll parlay up with the over in the Belbita fight or the over in the Arce fight or Eubanks. So I have, or not really Giannis, but yeah, I have like 4 parlay pieces I like in this card. And the minus 265 for Phillips is probably one of them here. If you want to bet Phillips, I like him by decision in this spot. He goes to decision more often than not. Fight to go to decision, minus 190. You get 30 cents off of that, minus 220 on the over. I think that could be a potential nice play. Kyler Phillips by points, minus 110. So by decision is minus 110. I feel like that's a spot as well. Personally, I feel like Kyler Phillips is only a parlay piece for me here. I'm going to tweet out all my parlays and my plays for the UFC card tomorrow or on Saturday before the card. So you guys know exactly where I'm going to be on that. But for this fight, I feel like Kyler Phillips is probably going to be towards the top of my parlay pieces, but not one I'm getting involved in on this one, like personal or just as a straight bet. All right, we've made it to the co-main event of the evening. Macy Chasson takes on Aspen Ladd. Aspen Ladd's a minus 200. It's a plus 170 the other way with Chasson. Over under of 2.5 rounds here. The over minus 160, the under plus 130. Looking at this one, we have Aspen Ladd 9-1, 4-1 in the UFC. A 77% finish rate. Her only loss is by knockout to Durandamy. 4 of her 5 fights have ended by finish. She's knocked out, or 4 of her fights have ended by knockout, 1 by decision. On the other side, Macy Chasson, 7-1. She's 5-1 in the UFC. A 57% finish rate. 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 3 decision wins. Her only loss is by decision, and half her fights have gone to decision. 3 fights gone to decision. 2 to have finished by knockout, 1 by submission. And I'm looking at the over in this fight a little bit here at minus 160. I feel like this one goes to the judges' scorecards. And I also like Chasson in this fight as the dog at plus 170. I feel like this is a nice spot for her. This is one where I'm going to have to see Aspen Ladd on the scale before I really make this play official. If Aspen Ladd looks good on the scales, I'll probably either lay off or I'll probably just sprinkle a small bet on Chasson by decision at plus, I think, 235 at the moment. I feel like Chasson by decision is a good spot for here because Aspen Ladd hasn't fought in 2 years. And it was because of a broken or a torn ACL or something with her leg. So it's going to be interesting to see how she looks in her return. which is kind of contradictory of the way I'm looking at the final fight. But I'm leaning Chasson in this one at plus 170. I think that potentially the dog can come through with this one. She just has to stop a couple of takedowns from Aspen Ladd, and I think I'll outpoint her for the decision win here. I'm leaning towards Chasson. She's probably going to make my card later in the week, but not at the moment. What's the main event of this card? Actually, that's a perfect segue because you know where we've made it? We've made it to the main event of the evening. And we are looking at TJ Dillashaw taking on Corey Sandhagen in this one. Sandhagen around a minus 190, minus 195. It's around a plus 165, plus 170 run back on Dillashaw. I did put a play out on this already. Unfortunately, I got a bad line on it. We're looking at Corey Sandhagen here, 14-2, 7-1 in the UFC. His only loss by submission to Aljamain Sterling, the champion. So no real, that's not one that you can really say that was a bad loss. That was a good loss for him. 64% finish rate, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, and 5 decisions in his wins. He's been only in his 2 losses, 1 submission loss, 1 decision loss. 6 of his 8 fights have finished in the UFC, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 2 decisions. On the other side, Dillashaw, 16-4, the former champion, 12-4 in the UFC, 68.8% finish rate, 8 knockouts, 3 submissions, 5 decision wins. Half of his losses are by knockout. He's been knocked out twice. He's gone to decision twice. Half of his fights have gone to decision, 8 knockouts. Actually, 9 of 16 have gone by finish, 8 knockouts, 1 submission, 7 decisions. And on this one here, I'm looking at the underdog in this spot. I have TJ Dillashaw here. We're getting a much better price on him now at plus 168. I'm going to put it at plus 170. Dillashaw, he's been out 2 years. He had the USADA or the EOP or IOP suspension for 2 years. I think that's going to help him here. He fought a lot during his championship run. He had a lot of fights, and I feel like he's taken these last 2 years to finally heal himself. He got, I think, shoulder surgery or elbow surgery, something he needed for his arm. And I feel like we're going to see a TJ Dillashaw 2.0 ready to go grab that belt back. And his last loss was a knockout loss versus Henry Cejudo, but he went down a weight class he never should have cut to. So this is a spot where I see Dillashaw showing up, and this is a spot where Dillashaw has fought 5 rounds before. He's gone all the way. Sandhagen in his 1 5-round fight only went to the first or second round. So I feel like Dillashaw is probably the best competition that Sandhagen's had to date, other than maybe Aljamain Sterling. So I feel like this is a spot where Dillashaw is going to come out and he's going to look good. I have Dillashaw at plus 170. I'll probably look to bet him by knockout or inside the distance. Inside the distance is a plus 325, I want to say, for Dillashaw here. Plus 325 inside the distance, which I think is a great price. Dillashaw by knockout plus 315. That's a great price as well. I think that this is definitely a live dog. I think Dillashaw potentially gets a knockout win in this one, and I want to sprinkle the half unit here. Plus 315 on the knockout here for TJ Dillashaw. Potentially a quarter unit stabs on round 4 and 5. Potentially, I think he can finish him in the late rounds there, 18-1 and 22-1. Could be a potential nice spot there. But TJ Dillashaw by knockout plus 315. I think that this is a great price here. We're going to take a half unit stab on that one as well. I like TJ Dillashaw on this spot. I feel like he's going to outmatch Sandhagen, and this is TJ's time to come on back and definitely try to get a knockout win and prove that he didn't need the steroids in order to win fights. He can do it on his own. So we're going with Dillashaw in this last fight, and Dillashaw by knockout, half unit sprinkle, plus 315 on that one. So that is where we're looking for this card. Dillashaw all day for turn C. I agree for that one. But we're going to recap my plays for this one. Then we're going to head on out for this one. I've been going for 40 minutes now. So hopefully this was a good breakdown for you guys. But we're going with Heinisch, Ian Heinisch here on the money line, and also by decision, plus 150 for the decision. Costa and Giannis under 1.5 rounds. We're going Miranda Maverick, and then we're going quarter unit on Maverick by submission at plus 700. Elkins here at plus 137, also inside the distance, half unit plus 325. And then round 3 at 11-1 quarter unit. And we're also going TJ Dillashaw, and then Dillashaw by knockout, plus 315. I meant to type in by knockout there. But that is where we're looking for this UFC Vegas 32. If this information was helpful to you guys, as always, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on those post notifications so you guys are notified each and every time we go live here on Earle Sports Bets, which is actually every morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's going to just about wrap it up for this show, guys. I want to thank you guys, as always, for watching. My name is Nicholas Earle, and this has been another edition of the Earle Sports Bets Show for UFC Vegas 32. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck on Saturday night in the